Hey everybody, I'm Marlon. Welcome to the channel, Marlon's 420. This afternoon I was wanting to talk about the Angel Exterminatus audiobook. I've done one video before that covered some of the material. It's called How Did Fulgrim Survive a Bullet to the Head? And I went over, that assassination attempt on on him that Nikona Shuriken and Wayland made. Nikona Shuriken tried to put a silver nitrate wire round through his skull. Didn't quite fucking work out, but he came closer than most, I would imagine. Anyways, my buddies and I were talking about it, and there's the Angel Exterminatus. If you haven't read it, spoilers, I would, or if you can get the audio book, do so. Either way, it's a good book. It's the first book in the series in quite a while from the beginning, other than Flight of the Eisenstein, that pushes the story forward at all. Like, you have quite a few books, then you have Flight of the Eisenstein, which pushes the story forward again. Then you have quite a few books that are all around the time of the Isfahan drop site and all from different point of views looking around the same time period, right? And then you get to Angel Exterminatus, and it finally pushes the story forward again. And we also see Perturabo for the first time in any of the books. We get to see the Imperial Fists for the first major time. And the book opens with those two. It's the Imperial Fists are on a world called Hydra Cordatus, and they're holding it against the Iron Warriors. And the only fucking advantage that the Imperial Fists have is that this fortress or keep that they're in is self-healing. It's some sort of crazy fucking high-level alien tech that they don't understand. I mean, we could definitely use something like that for these hurricanes and shit, right? But yeah, so they have this high level tech that every time the Iron Hands start tearing shit down or blowing shit up, it just comes in and repairs it almost faster than they can do harm. So the first we see of Perturabo is him dropping in after he's sick of this for going on for months and months and months. He drops in with his AI, iron warriors that are the only ones worthy of protecting him. And they go in, and Dorn is not there with his sons, the Imperial Fist, holding that keep. He's on Terra. So obviously they're not going to hold it against Perturabo. He is an absolute fucking beast. They sent him to go get Angron for a reason, right? So anyways, Perturabo drops in, and after that he mops it up pretty quickly. And not long after that, the Emperor's children arrive in orbit. So they go back and forth, and they wind up meeting on the planet. The entrance that Fulgrim makes is an entrance of decadence and ridiculousness heaped on top of itself more and more and more. It is just a scene of absolute ridiculous fucking insanity. And when they finally meet face to face, Perturabo tells him as much. That's interesting. This is the interesting, watching the two of them go back and forth. The two brothers, we haven't seen a book where we have the two or more brothers interact and get into their actual minds in any real way. So seeing how they view things and how they attack certain situations differently was super interesting. And right from the get-go, you can see like Fulgrim all down the path of Slaanesh at this point is all about, the laws and the sensation and the feeling. Whatever path gets him the most of that, that's what we're going to do. And Perturabo sees, he's looking for the most direct, logical route that will get him to where he needs to go. And that's already a very, very different point of view. So, long story short, Fulgrim goes to Perturabo and tells him, hey, I found out about these really, really fucking cool, amazingly powerful weapons made by this probably should have been aborted god of the Eldari. And I know where they are. And if we go and get them, we can end this shit and become gods ourselves. And Perturabo is like, the only part I heard of that was big guns. So basically, Fulgrim's like, all right, big guns, good. Well, let's go get them. So Fulgrim does convince Perturabo that there's enough to the story of the birth of the angel exterminatus and how it all came into be that it's worth going and throwing themselves into the eye of terror to try and find them, right? And another thing that Fulgrim uses against Perturabo is, we all know this, Perturabo has seen the eye of terror every day of his life. It's one of the perks that the emperor gave him. He has always seen it. And because of that, Fulgrim's like, man, you've always known it was there. You've always seen it. Don't you want to go see what's inside of it? And Perturabo was actually fucking pissed about that. He's like, I never told anybody that except Ferris Manus. How the fuck do you know? And that was actually that was really sad. Fulgrim's like, I cut off his head. I know pretty much everything that he knew, felt, did. That was really sad. But anyways, so they get to a point where they're in the warp, and all of a sudden they get this massive flash signal alert thing that tells them that there's something out there. And that something turns out to be a small fleet of Iron Hands. And so logically, Perturabo is like, okay, well, we're just going to kill them from a long distance away, We got these big ass fucking ships. We don't need to go in close. They can't hit us from where they are because the dumbass aboard their ship that was doing an experiment blew up their fucking engines. They can't do anything right now. And Fulgrim is, of course, like, no, I think I'd rather board the ship, kill them myself because of they're Ferris Manus' sons, and I have to kill all of them by hand personally. And anyways, it's going to be more fun. The two points of views are so interesting and so different. So Perturabo is kind of left with the choice, okay, do I just sit here like a pussy and wait? Do I blow up the ship with my brother on it while he's killing the Iron Hands? Or do I go and join him and help him kill him and then deal with him after? And the last choice is what he does. They all go, they get on the ships, they start trying to take out the Iron Hands ships, and it just doesn't go the way it's supposed to go, obviously. And they all wind up pulling back out of the Iron Hand ships. The Iron Hands are able to get their engines and everything going and basically skedaddle back into the warp before the Iron Hands and the Emperor's children can actually get everything together and charge up their weapons and take out the ships. And Perturabo is absolutely fucking livid about it. So he calls Fulgrim into his private study chambers or whatever, and Perturabo is sitting at his desk and he's working on a model of like a Titan, I think it was. And he's telling Fulgrim very gently, very slowly, very deliberately, we didn't need to do that. you just got a lot of our people killed. We got a lot of our sons killed. You had a lot of our stuff destroyed, and there was no point to it. We didn't achieve what we wanted to achieve. And then he tells Fulgrim, from now on, I am in charge. I decide when, I decide where, and I decide how. And he's sitting there and he's working on this Titan while he's talking to him. And, you know, imagine something if you've ever worked on metalworks, sort of like this, or maybe even like a Lego like this. Probably more like, you know, bigger for a hand size, like a Primarch like this. He takes that model and he uses Fulgrim's face as a quick disassembly tool to get his point across. No, it's like, I do wonder, we do know now that, you know, Fulgrim kind of didn't fight back because he had a longer term goal, a longer plan. You know, a gift that he gave Perturabo is basically sucking Perturabo's strength and soul and Primarch aura into it. And that's what Fulgrim wants to use to transform himself later once they actually get to the Eldari death world and where the angel exterminatus and the weapons supposedly are, which is all bullshit. That's just what Fulgrim is saying to try and get Perturabo there so that he can basically steal his life force, which would kill him, and propel Fulgrim's transformation. So anyways, excuse me, Perturabo makes sure that Fulgrim understands by disassembling that model of that Titan using Fulgrim's face. And if Fulgrim had wanted to fight back, that's one of the interesting things that I wonder about. Because we know that Fulgrim was no slouch. Now, he did beat Ferris, but he had help, right? So we know that that demon that was in the sword is not with him anymore at this point, but he's also not just still base Fulgrim anymore at this point either. So I truly wonder what would happen if him and Perturabo really went at it. You know, Perturabo is a fucking beast, and they sent him to go get Angron back. And that is no joke. So, I don't know. But watching the two Primarchs interact for most of the book, seeing how they tackled situations differently, and then seeing Perturabo first when Fulgrim almost dies, Perturabo is genuinely pissed and upset. And then later on, when he's about to kill Fulgrim himself for Fulgrim getting a bunch of his sons killed. And then Fulgrim, even though he's got almost no discipline left, is disciplined enough to take that beating to maintain his overall goal to get into the end. So, yeah, really fun, interesting book. If you've never read it, I would recommend doing so. The audiobook is really good. The only thing I didn't like about it was that some of the voice choices are a little bit annoying. But anyways, if you hadn't hit the sub button yet, please do so. Hit the like button. Go down into the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know of any stories or any books or any characters that you'd like me to talk about or go over. I don't know for sure what I was going to do next, but I'm 80% sure that it's going to be Conrad Kerr's focused, because I've been reading The Unremembered Empire, which is one of my more favored books so far. It's very good. But I think that it'll be something to do with Conrad Kerr's and maybe the dynamic between him and the lion. I'm not sure. But anyways, let me know what you thought. And I'm Marlon. I appreciate you all. We'll be back very soon. Cheers.